Yes, you can. So this afternoon's discussion is on co-listing um, courses across universities, and we invited a few partners from across the region to tell us about, share with us opportunities about co-listing. Here's quick overview. We'll discuss the context, and then we'll share um, a little about the Jambatan co-listing initiative, and then we'll hear from our panelists their experience on cross-listing or co-listing. And then we'll have a discussion on how we can promote this practice more broadly in the Philippines and in the region. So first, who are we? We're um, this afternoon's conversation is an initiative by the Education Impact Lab. The idea is for the Education Impact Lab to be a multi-university innovation platform that will help cultivate innovations in the education sector, whether it's basic education, higher education, or continuing learning, adult education. The Education Impact Lab hopes to catalyze innovations in this space because there's so much going on, and by co-creating innovations in the universities, it already allows innovations to start to bubble up. And then one initiative of the Education Impact Lab is the Jambatan Co-listing Network. Jambatan is Indonesian for bridge. So the idea is for the Jambatan Co-listing Network to become a platform to facilitate co-listing across different universities in the Philippines and in the region. So just to kick things off, the definition that we will be using is co-listing, cross-listing, or dual listing is the process of offering a single course in two or more departments or universities. They may be from the same discipline, they may be from different disciplines and different universities. And in most cases, the course is identical for everyone participating. And we will hear about a few examples of courses that are co-listed across universities and then also across sectors. The context here is that the pandemic forced us to go online, and online learning has become a major part of our educational system during the pandemic. And as we transition out of the pandemic, we should not miss out on the opportunity to continue learning online, especially with partner universities abroad. That opportunity sort of opened itself up during the pandemic, and we should not miss out on the opportunity to continue to use that, because it's actually a very cost-effective way of internationalization. It's a cost-effective way of exposing our students and students from abroad to a collaborative environment where they get academic credit, at the same time experience doing projects with students abroad without having to buy expensive plane tickets. Okay, so we will first start by calling on one of the students that I am advising now, Hannah. I have been for 2 years now, I have been advising a team from the US, from Lehigh University, and one team is working on the Zero Hunger College project. From Lehigh University, we started in 2020, so they're now actually on the third cycle. And Hannah is enrolled in UP Diliman, and UP Diliman has been a partner of Lehigh University for the past almost 7 years, I guess, doing co-listed projects between UP Diliman and Lehigh University. And Hannah is one of the team members from UP Diliman that's working with the Lehigh team. So Hannah, can you we'd like Hannah is a materials, like she mentioned, she's a senior at UP Diliman taking materials engineering. And then she's been involved in different student organizations and also as a volunteer at the De La Salle Medical and Health Sciences Institute. And we asked Hannah to share her experience on working with the Lehigh team this semester. Hannah?
Yes, thank you, Sir Elmer, for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be invited to share our team's experience here in this talk. So when we first introduced the when we were first introduced to students from Yale University, it was interesting to learn of their varying backgrounds because unlike our team, as Sir Elmer mentioned earlier, they came from different programs, which meant they know more about business management and agro enterprise. So all of us in our team are materials engineering students. Just to give a little background. Um, in turn, we were able to provide them with information on the conditions of the urban poor communities here in the Philippines, as well as our social cultural practices. So this Zero Hunger College project, by the way, aims to empower women through education on urban farming systems and agro enterprise. That's why it encompasses a lot of fields. So since we're materials engineering students, we're more focused on the approach, on the technology and tech and the knowledge transfer. So having them with us on board is extremely beneficial. So just to share our best practices so far, we've only met last February. So we've been working on this project for about 2 months, now. So it's important for us to set weekly recurring meetings to just kind of keep up to date with our team's progress. And we also make sure to document our questions, clarifications, what we've talked about with our mentors for the past week. So it's been quite challenging, of course, since we're on different locations currently, as well as time zones. And our current deliverable for this semester would be a curriculum that we would hopefully test to a sample class when they get here in the Philippines in the summer. So yeah, that has been our experience so far, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to set the foundations of these projects in strongly, and hopefully get to continue it in the years to come.
Thanks, Hannah. Quick question.
Yes, sir.
So do you regret enrolling this course? No, because you have to work with somebody in a different time zone, different university. So isn't this more stressful than your usual courses? Is this what you signed up for?
Well, there is definitely extra challenges encountered with this course, but it for me personally, it's been great waking up in the morning with a renewed sense of purpose, having being exposed to perspectives of people from oceans apart us. So and them also as well being exposed to our conditions here in the Philippines, since we've been having issues on our agricultural sector recently. So so far I have no regrets. It's challenging, but it's way more fulfilling than I could have expected.
Sige, last question before we let you go. And then we'll still have a forum later. No? But so how does working with students in the US who are working on food security in the Philippines, no, shape or expand your interpretation of food security in the Philippines? How is that different from, say, talking about food security to another Filipino student compared to talking about food security to a US student? Is there a
So
difference?
yes, there's actually a difference since as I mentioned earlier, they all of them came from different backgrounds. Some of them are taking a pre-law, some of them are in marketing. So um they they contribute extremely in terms of um formulating business models that we could not have. I think um we could not have discussed or talked about with our current technology here in the Philippines, as well as the policy work they've been doing there in terms of their in terms of the agricultural industry and the agro enterprise area. So all of those are beneficial in what we are currently doing, as they give us a different perspective, and we try to create a different approach in terms of technology, since we're currently undergoing the research part of our project. So it's also a big part on um bringing in that kind of new information from them.
Okay. Thanks, Hannah. Don't leave. We'll have questions for you later on, but let's invite our other panelists to share their experience naman on ano. No, so
Yes, and
thanks,
thank you
Hannah.
very much.
Next, we'll have um, two colleagues of mine. I met both of them at Lehigh University, the same university that has a team uh, that's sending teammates of Hannah coming to the Philippines. No? Hold on, let me just share my screen. Um, so we'll have a three-way discussion with Jasper and Aki, who have been running a co-listed course between two universities in Hong Kong and also with partners in Singapore. And then Jasper's University is starting an initiative with 10 Philippine universities. And they had recent signings. So Jasper teaches at Lingnan University, and he teaches at the graduate school where he handles courses on entrepreneurship and innovation. Aki teaches at the Hong Kong University, no? And I understand from their explanation that they are on separate parts of the extreme ends of both extreme ends of Hong Kong, such that they're almost 2 hours apart. Aki has also been spending a lot of time on innovations in learning experience design. She taught, developed and taught more than 25 credited undergraduate courses in entrepreneurship, innovation, and design thinking. And she's been playing around with education technologies such as Oculus so that learning experiences are more immersive. Now, she's also been working on industry partnerships as space for learning experiences. So now let's have, maybe Aki and Jasper, you can share with us how you ended up, no, how you started this co-listed course between your two universities.
You want to go, Aki?
Thank you, Elma. While I can still talk, if you don't mind, I have also some slides maybe to provide some context.
Sure.
Context. Hi, everyone. My name is Aki. My normal voice is not like this. I have COVID. So excuse my occasionally muting myself to cough and my weird voice. But I do want to give you some context because I think co-listing is a tricky thing and we had so much fun doing it. Might as well give you the right context to know what we're actually working on. So if you don't mind, I'll start sharing my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So our topic today is on co-listing, and to me is also a co-learning experience for both of us. And we're happy to thank you, Elma, again for inviting us to share of what we've learned throughout this journey. This is really quick. I don't plan to take up all the time, so let's get started. I am from HKUST, so Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. This is our campus. To give you some understanding, we are very heavily focused on science, engineering, and business and management. As you can see, the student body is much bigger on these departments and schools than humanities and other programs. And entrepreneurship program is kind of a joint baby from these three schools. And what we do is we offer minor program, we offer common core program, and other educational experiences like Elma mentioned. I'm going to skip this, but basically these are the accredited courses that we offer every semester for the entire school. And you might imagine that we have a whole team to deliver all these courses, all these credits, all these speakers. We might have an adventures on our side, but in reality, we only have 3 of us. And Erwin is part-time. So as you can imagine, that is kind of the reality of us in a burning house trying to stay calm. Thankfully, we have found a perfect partner for this situation. Lingland is located on the other side of Hong Kong, beautiful campus. And what they have is sorry, I hear echo. So they have arts program, they have business program, they have a very, very strong social science program, they are liberal arts schools, and we have science, engineering, and business. So I thought, wow, that's fantastic. We could learn from each other. We could expose our students to different culture on top of all these other great things. But the reality is, even if our students drive, it would be an hour for them to drive from their campus to our campus or vice versa. If we take public transportation, an hour and a half, 2 hours one way easily. So co-listing has not been possible if it's done physically. So this is our timeline of our romance. So we met in 2018. We talked about how excited we could work with each other. We had our first speaker session, shipping their professor to UST to talk, but we couldn't co-list until 2020. And that's thanks to COVID, which I'm having it right now. So that allows us to apply for Zoom classes for school and have that technology enabling us to have the same course. Of course, we work really hard on the timetable and working up the teaching arrangement. We could talk more about that. Jasper knows a lot more as well. So with that, we're able to bring experiential learning, have students meet with real entrepreneurs and go into the real world. I do want to add, when we talk about entrepreneurship, we're not talking about owning a business. We don't care if you have a startup or not. What we care is you own your own career, you own your own development. So taking risk, being curious, being resilient, helping each other. These are the qualities that we think all students, regardless of their major, regardless of their career path, should have. So we continue to strive for that by doing spatial for the very first time, had no idea what we're doing, and then slowly graduated into using Oculus for office hours.
It's just more like.
And this student is actually in Singapore. This student is from Lingland and a few of us from UST. So that allows us to make co-listing even more interesting than just Zoom. Exploring other tools such as Miro. We also turned our physical visit to virtual visits. Continue to invite speakers to come in through Zoom in class whenever possible and have them be an entrepreneur by working together on an online shop or a Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign. So they're not just sitting together next to each other on a class, but actually working together on a project. So I will not take up more time, and Jasper, feel free to fill in while I'm going to cough now.
Yeah, you actually mentioned quite a lot of things that I wanted to discuss. I think some things that I can add is here from Alina's side, we also have a team of, so I'm not the only instructor involved in the course, but we also have a team of people, so that basically we can have inter-university teams working together. So we'll have teams with members from both UST as well as Lingnan University. And then in the first semester, we even have some students from Singapore joining as well. And one focus, or one good thing about having on both sides, having a couple of teaching team members, that we try to have one member, or at least a couple of teaching team members, be a mentor for some of these teams. So we'll have frequent office hours, frequent meetings with these teams that through the semester, even though the group being 2 universities together is relatively large, we can still have that personal contact. Also, one thing to add, maybe I think Aki already gave a very good introduction to Lingnan University. One thing to add from our side is that we also focus quite a lot on social impact. So officially, this course where we work together is also counts as a service learning course in our university. So yeah, that's why for this course, even for the Kickstarter as well as the web shop that the students run as part of their project, we always have a social, let's say, component. So, for example, for Kickstarter campaigns now, students are working on different platforms to make it easier for people to rent wheelchairs, for example. One of the groups that I'm working on, there's a group of students working on a platform to create, to make it easier to find where you can find nice secondhand clothes in Hong Kong, etc., etc. So yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to add, that we have a strong social impact component to this course as well. And then
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Jasper. Yeah, maybe let's have a Q&A. Let's just probe your experience a bit for a few minutes. So what was the most difficult part of co-listing a course? You could have run this as in non-co-listed course, right? Doing everything unilaterally. What was the most difficult, or what were the 3 most challenging, most frustrating aspects of your co-listed course?
Jasper?
Yeah, one challenge before COVID was probably if we would have suggested to our university administrators, we want to have a course together, but it's too far away, we cannot do it, we have to do it online. Probably it would not have been accepted at that time. So something to mention is that we, for this course, we have sometimes Aki and her team from the UST side, they run a workshop or a lecture on their side, and then our students join via Zoom and vice versa. So if I do a workshop, the students from UST will join via Zoom. We always encourage them, if you want to, you can go to the other university to join the lecture face-to-face there. But of course, given the commute between the 2 universities, that's often not possible for a lot of students. So that was one challenging thing. So before COVID, we were already collaborating, but it was more of, let's say, we do similar things in this course, and then we have one day where we get together on either of the campuses to do a design thinking sprint, or to do like a shorter, let's say, an afternoon to let our students collaborate. But it was not really the intensive collaboration that we do now. One aspect that's also maybe challenging is just let's say you're both in the bureaucratic system of a university, so we already actually have to give our time slots for the courses 1 year in advance. I'm not sure why, but so we always have to make sure to just align those kind of things. But yeah, that's also it's not a super big challenge. And maybe for challenge number 3, Aki, do you have other thoughts?
I think that sums it up pretty nicely. Let me think. For us, I think the biggest challenge is mostly administrative. So trying to figure out, because we have the perfectly overlapping fall semester schedule, but for spring, we are missing each other by a few weeks. So the time that we actually overlap shortened. So that's one thing that we need to figure out. So each semester, and on top of that, we want to have a different theme each semester. So we keep a lot of these challenges self-imposed. So we're like, how can we make this timely? How can we make this relevant for students? So I think that is one thing. Two is for students to recognize the benefit of collaborating with another university, especially now when they could have these classes physically in the classroom. And they were like, why can't we work with people that we could meet in class, right? Rather over Zoom. So bridging that gap, reiterating the benefit of working with each other. And so that is, I think it's another layer of that. I don't anticipate, well, I haven't experienced challenges that outweighs the benefits, because we see so much benefits from co-listing together. Our students at the end learned so much more than we had run this course for a few years in person at UST before. So we know the difference. We know the students actually gain a lot more from working with another university. So to us, it's all worth it. I think having a right partner really is important. So thank you, Jasper, and your team. You made all the difference.
Right. And I remember you mentioned that on one semester, you also work with a Singapore-based partner.
Yes.
So I can imagine that 3 universities is much more complicated than 2 universities. So how does that work out for the students, for the timing?
Yeah, it's actually not. I think the scaling cost is a lot less than we would expect it. So I think once we have figured out the system of working with each other, which partner is better at taking care of which workshop, how to do the assessment, how to handle students' conflict, how to have students have high quality time with the teaching panel. Once we figure that out, having more students from our side is not a big problem. Plus, SUTD has relatively smaller group of students joining in, so it's not a big portion of them coming in. So to me, that impact is not too big. How about to you guys, Jasper?
Yeah, I think especially since students from the Singapore side, they were more joining, let's say, without the involvement of teaching staff there. So it was not that we had to also collaborate with them in the sense that we have to see who is going to teach which workshop, who is going to, let's say, mentor which group, etc. So it was, more like exchange students almost joining the course. So yeah, that addition of the Singapore University was not very hard actually. And it was fun. They came over to, I think their university has some budget or something that they needed to get rid of, but they flew the students over for, they were here for 1 week and they joined some of the sessions in person as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jasper, you mentioned that Lingnan University is starting a partnership with 10 universities. Are you thinking of the co-listing strategy as well for those 10 universities in the Philippines?
Yeah, so for that project, I first have to specify that I'm not the main person in my team that's involved in that project. But what we did was a couple of months ago, we had faculty members from 10 universities in the Philippines. We had them come over to Hong Kong for a 1-week training, kind of trainer kind of program in inclusive business. For which we work together with an NGO that does a lot with let's say social impact project in but through a entrepreneurial way, let's say, in developing regions around the world. And after that program, this summer we'll actually do a larger trainer program. And there it's not so much about co-listing as far as as far as I know, but more about the universities working together or kind of spreading this idea of inclusive business. How can you train it? How can you train students? So more of a trainer model. But I think definitely this kind of training is always a good opportunity as well for different faculty members to meet and maybe think about, how can we collaborate further? But as of yet, no formal course co-listing yet.
Okay, thanks. So we will move on to Daryl before we go to the longer Q&A. Thanks, Aki and Jasper, for sharing your experience. At least we know that it can be done. It's challenging, but it can be done. Okay, so I'll introduce our next panelist who has also done some work in this space. Daryl Nang is co-founder and managing partner of Design Thinkers Academy in Singapore. He's been doing a lot of human-centered design work, and they have they work. Yeah, he just came out of prison this afternoon, and maybe he can tell us about that and what he was doing there. What kind of trouble got him into prison? And then they did a project recently in the city of Manila. So we asked Daryl to share his experience on that. So Daryl?
Thank you, Elmer. By the way, I'm Daryl Lim as well, not Daryl Ng. That's it. Yes, I did just came out from prison this morning. It was a 3-hour thing, but I'll come to that in a short while. If I may share my little
Sure.
slide. So here we are. What do you see? Wait. Okay, do you see the slides?
Yes,
Perfect.
yes, we do.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So this was a project that we had done in 2021 together with the city government, Manila. Well, let me quickly just share with you who we are and what we do. So we're from Design Thinkers Academy. We are we are founded in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and I think we are across the world, where we kind of promote human-centered transformations in collaboration with universities, in collaboration with organizations and movements. Yeah. So generally that's what we do. These are some of the clients that we have worked with throughout this period of time. Those at the bottom are those from done with Design Thinkers Academy Singapore. I'm based in Singapore. I've got my colleague here as well, David Chung, who is based in Hong Kong. He's right now in Hong Kong, and we actually have a collaboration as well with some of the universities in Hong Kong. Yeah, but later on we'll see whether we have time. We can talk about it in a short while. But that's it. This is our credo. We help to put people at the heart of what we do, and to be more innovation ready, such that we can be more adaptive and build strategies and solutions that are truly relevant to your customers and employees. That is our credo, and that's what we strongly believe in. That also brings me to why I was there in the prisons this morning. So I'm in Singapore, as I mentioned, and one of the things that we are trying to do is to see how we might be able to improve this whole rehabilitation process of people who get incarcerated. In Singapore, one of the biggest problems we face is recidivism. That means people returning back into prisons after they are kind of released. It's a published research that they've done, and so we kind of went in with a conversation with the heads, and we had a discussion to let us study a little bit further about why people might get into recidivism, and let's re-explore whether the rehabilitation process was really effective in that sense. But that's it. That's not the topic for today. I only got to speak to 2 inmates, but it was extremely insightful. Today's topic is, so that's me, about 20 years in designing. So I started off as an educator, and I used to be from the government service, where I developed national competency standards for industries. My very first industry that I developed for was for the retail industry, which was extremely insightful. So this brings me to the sharing that I want to bring to today. Yeah, this was a project with Bloomberg Philanthropies under the Mayor's Challenge. I think quite a number of cities took part. I think top 50 cities would then qualify into the final round, where 10 winners would win $1 million to implement whatever impact that they were trying to advocate. Here are some of the things that I picked up during this journey of impact. Yeah. Number one, of course, it's what people say, what people do, and what people say and do are entirely different things. And it's our role to kind of really understand what's going on, because, sorry, let me just kill that WhatsApp. Sorry, it's annoying. Give me a second, yeah? Apologies for the noise. Okay, I'm back. So that's it. To us, these are the 5 very important principles of design thinking, where I think I really want to focus a little bit more on that bottom left corner where we talk about empathy, which is very important. And to us, it's the muscle of it all. You know, to us, design thinking is enabled by that sincerity, that thoughtfulness, and that concern. But of course, the converse side of things is it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And this morning, I spent 3 hours speaking to only 2 inmates, but realizing that there is so much richness behind what is going on, behind bars and behind what goes on a daily basis with these individuals, what they think, what they say, what they feel, and then what they eventually have to go and present as the days goes by. All these are very important information that gives us insight as to how we might be able to change the lives of the people that we are trying to create impact for. That said, you know, it means that we are not, you know, when we're doing impact, it means that we are not just trying to make an app or a service or a policy. We want to also know if it works. You know, with impact-driven mindset, you know, we know that the project will never be over until we have finalized the deliverables or hit the deadline. So I think it's important for us as we talk about education impact or social impact or any forms of impact to understand that we are responsible for what happens after a new idea becomes real, because lives of individuals change. That's it. What is the most important thing to me? You know, due to everyone's having lived different experiences, our language that we use starts the very first foundation of how do we approach this whole journey of impact creation for the people that we want to care for. So I challenge you all to ask yourself this question, you know. Number 1, ask ourselves, when we talk about impact, do we talk about intervention or do we use the word solution? Do we use the word people or do we use the word the users and the subjects? Do we talk about the audience of focus or do we talk of them as the target audience? Do we address them as co-creators or do we address them as beneficiaries? Do we address these people as underinvested or do we call them the vulnerable people, the marginalized, the minority, the poor, the lower income, and the oppressed? All these words that we use frames us at the very start of that impact journey by saying it's them and it's not me. And I think that sets the first frame. Are we empathizing really with these individuals? Are they part of our co-creation team? Or are they simply a subject of the changes that we want to kind of research on and create? That's it. Let me jump into the story of the Go Manila intervention for the historically underinvested. So this is the general model that we use in this whole process, where we spent a lot of time. This was probably about a 3-month kind of project where I was brought in to facilitate the city government team. A team was formed to really discover what was necessary to be created within this app that they were already creating called Go Manila. It is currently existent, and those of you who would probably just download Go Manila, you would see the app. It is currently existent, yeah? My role was to help them to discover and define the problem that was most meaningful, because ultimately we were hoping that Michael Bloomberg would then fund this whole bit of things, right? So this is the double diamond model that tells us about a process that we had gone through by first discovering what is going on, defining what the problem might be, developing the possible value propositions, and delivering the experiences that pivots people's lives. Yeah. So that's it. I will spend the next few moments talking about the discovery. What did we do during this discovery, and how did we go about doing this discovery in collaboration with a lot of stakeholders? Because making a change within a city, I would believe those of you who are from Philippines would recognize that the intensive amount of work that needs to be done in collaboration with all the different agencies, associations, and so on and so forth, So this journey of discovery was focused on three very key things. Number one, that centricity on the community, finding out what are the various aspects of the needs of the people living in Manila. Number two, underlying that deeper lying values. What is happening below? What is happening behind all these policies? What is happening in their jobs? What is happening in their lives? And finally, creating that shared understanding of the pains and the gains, and how do they experience it, and how do they navigate it. These are very important things that we tried to understand in that process, but we could never do it because it was COVID-19, by the way, at that point of time, and I was not able to be in Philippines. So we had to rely on the help of a lot of the barangay people, as well as a lot of volunteers on the ground. Here's the extent. We did quite a bit on Zoom, but I think what's most important is we had to go down to meet people individually. So we had volunteers from all the different VWOs and things like that to meet up with informal workers, senior citizens, people who are homeless, the informal settlers, out of school youth, indigent students. All these were what we imagine as people whom were not so well invested in. And we wanted to understand their lives and to really see what was going on. Here's one of the verbatim words that came out of that person. I'm okay, surviving by God's mercy. I'm homeless, but my source of livelihood is scavenging and trading throwaways. Sometimes tagged if there would be a vacancy in construction, I'm a laborer. What makes me happy is that I get something to eat. As a resident, to be able to help others, I would like this place to be in order. I hope to have a permanent job. These little messages tells us a lot of things about how they just get by each day, living, scavenging, doing all these little jobs so that they can have that next meal. We wanted to dig deeper. What was going on, and how can we find them? Further underinvested people. Yeah, these are some of the verbatim words again. Some of them are in Tagalog. So those of you who can read Tagalog, enjoy reading. I can probably only read the one on the top right-hand corner. Not being able to provide for my family's needs, not being physically present for them is also one of the very biggest problems that these people face, because they travel out of the city just to go to Manila to work. Some of them may not even have an identity card, but they still need to bring food home for their family members. Again, this is one of the ladies. It's simple. I would like to have a small business so that my children will not starve. Not to eat in a day makes me sad. I'm happy because I was born here. I wish there was an ID, but without an ID, I cannot apply for things. I don't have a birth certificate. I do not qualify for anything whatsoever. And we started to realize that there was a good number of people without ID, which means they were not counted at all. Which means they have they're non-existent in a city, right? Because they are not accounted for. So there was no way these people could be reached unless they could be legitimized. And that was where I think we decided to go down that line and say, hey, let's go search them out. Let's see whether we are able to legitimize them and help them to get food, help them to find education, help them to find jobs, help to provide shelter. I think these were the very important aspects of their lives. That's it. This was the problem statement. Given that there are citizens in Manila who had lived without any government-supported provision for food, jobs, and homes, how might we be able to provide for an independent self-sustenance for those who have been underinvested? We went further to develop that app as soon as possible so that there was an immediate entry point. You don't want to ask them to go down to the city office, fill up the forms, get all those endorsements done. No, it's a very tedious process. But this was where the intergovernment agencies, as well as a lot of the people from the barangays and everyone, supported in this whole city initiative, helping to make this process as seamless as possible, breaking down all the different barriers of justifying this individual. Is he or she really born in Manila? Is this person really even existent? Where has this person been? And things like that. All these needed to be in place to be able to legitimize and say, Elmer, congratulations, this is your certificate, or this is your ID. You are now officially a citizen. I think these and a lot of these people were really happy at the end of the day, as you can see from some of these photographs at the bottom right-hand side. That whole process of legitimization, they felt that they finally have a place in city. These are some of the feelings, and this was some of the after the registration itself. What's most important for us to understand is that this whole journey of impact creation bears a lot of emotional ups and downs that us in position to be able to design, to develop, and to deliver have to always bear in mind that change is never ever easy. Yeah, and all these emotions, we must always bear in mind that some of them may run away and some of them may not be able to kind of tolerate this kind of change as well, because it's been too comfortable. Just as how I found out this morning in prison, some of them return because it is so much more comfortable back in prison than it would be in the free lands that we live in. That's it. This was the final conclusion where, although we didn't win, I think we have reached out to more than, if I'm not wrong, more than 500,000 people. They are not those without identity cards, but the whole initiative itself has reached out to that kind of numbers. Again, one of the biggest things I realized in impact work is, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So throughout this whole time, we were constantly reminded, let's not just have airy ideas, but it's important that every idea that you put up, measure it. What is it you're trying to create, and make sure that if it's measurable, you can manage it. That's it. What have you learned?
Okay. Thanks a lot, Daryl. Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay,
Thank
right.
you.
So thanks for your presentation. So now we can have a Q&A, just to frame this again, the Philippines has over 2,000 universities. We have a population of around 110 million people. We're an archipelago. And during the pandemic, we all got a taste of online learning and online collaboration. And it was, by and large, we got zoomed out. We got oversaturated with this online collaboration, online learning. But as we come out of the pandemic, there's much to be gained by continuing with some of the online collaboration, especially transnational collaboration. And the universities in the Philippines are striving towards internationalization. The question is, how might we use co-listing as a strategy for internationalization, so that not all of the students who cannot afford to buy a plane ticket to fly over to Singapore or Hong Kong to meet up with teammates can still benefit from this international learning environment. So maybe we can have a Q&A. And Aleli, we were talking about this earlier. What are your thoughts? How might Visayas State University internationalize through co-listing with foreign universities, or benefit from co-listing domestically with other universities? Do you have any thoughts, Aleli? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. Ikaw lang yung kachika ko kanina. Or maybe she stepped away from her. So yeah, now we can open the group to the questions, discussion. Any questions from anyone? Just unmute yourselves and then share a question. Maybe I'll start. No, what kind of mental barriers did you experience among students who were unaccustomed to co-listed courses? What attitudes or mindsets got in the way of students embracing this co-listed learning experience? Maybe that's a question for Aki and Jasper.
Yeah, from my experience, I would say actually the students, they are not really let's say it's not a challenge at all to get them into basically accepting this idea. We tell them very clearly at the beginning of the semester, okay, this course is a little bit different, even though COVID is over, we're still doing this co-listing. And the students actually like we have a add drop period, so we tell them if this is not for you, if you want to sit in a classroom and on campus and have courses with other Lina students, that is totally fine, but then you need to drop the course and sign up for another one. And that only happens, like there's a few students maybe dropping the course, but they accept it quite well. And at the end of the semester, just in the evaluation of the course, etc., we always get a lot of comments. Like, one of the things I like about this course is that we get to meet new students from other universities. So in my experience, the students are not the main hurdle. I'm not sure if Aki.
Yeah.
And so who are the main hurdle? Do you have to deal with faculty who have to whom you have to onboard into this, or do you have that handled because it's just a small team between the? Yes.
You want to respond to that, Aki, or?
Sure, but before that, well, first of all, Daryl, thank you so much for sharing. We didn't mention in our previous sharing that we use design thinking as a skeleton for our co-listing courses. So it's exciting to see how it really rolls out in real life, and it's truly inspiring on the projects that you work on. To echo the first answer about the students' mental barrier, I think they have much more things to worry about than co-listing because this is a not typical class where they have to work as a team. A lot of that is experiential. There's no exam. So that on the first day, we told them, congratulations, there's no exam, but you have to build an online shop within your team in one semester. So everyone's jaw was just dropped. So I think with that, it's already a huge mental barrier that they need to go through, but it's not in a bragging way, but we do tell them if you're not ready for this, if you have a heavy loading, for example, if you have other internship or other priorities, maybe not a good semester to take this course because it is demanding. So being able to be upfront and communicative with them is something that we try to do throughout the semester. So I think that helps. Regarding the second question about faculty members, we did this to ourselves, so we embrace it from top to bottom. And we, like I mentioned before, we're really thankful for our Lingland team to be able to work together and work through challenges, because it's always new challenges coming up. Like, we've done this for 3 years, and to this day, still new things coming up. And we are able to continue to communicate, have this deep trust that we'll be working something out together. We have each other's benefit and interest in mind. And I think that partnership, it's something that I deeply cherish. But we have tried to maybe consider working with other faculty members. For example, for another class, we're actually co-listing with CityU, another university. It's a totally different system that we need to navigate, right? So I think each partner is different, each system is different, each course is different. But it's really down to the people. The very minimum is the faculty and the staff needs to have buy-in. If we don't believe in it, it's hard to convince the student that this is good for them. And it's actually, I think that's it. If we don't believe in it, it's hard to convince others. So yeah, I don't know if I'm answering it in a long-winded way.
Right. So, well, related to that, Aki, what kind of mindsets among faculty are you looking for, and what kinds of mindset? So this is not being judgmental, right? But just your interpretation of data. What kinds of instructor mindsets will resist this approach to learning?
I think it's natural to resist this. I think it's natural to resist any change without immediately seeing return immediately, right? I think it's not. I think it's us being abnormal that we went out of the way and do this together. So the norm should be everyone is focusing on what is on their plate, which is already full. And with COVID, with returning to normal, things are taking like such a big turn. So I think I don't have any blame or I just have full of gratitude for people who are willing to work together. But regarding the mindset that we really want to have to see in partners, first is really have the respect and appreciation, like we're the same level. You're not higher than me or I'm not higher than you. We're really at the same level working together. So having that as a start is really important. Willingness to take responsibility, willingness to say, hey, I got this, let me fix this. And can you help me with this? And I think being able to give help and receive help is also something that I really have learned throughout the process. Jasper, what is on your mind?
Yeah, just responding to maybe Elmer's question about, let's say, what are some of the attitudes from faculty members that we're looking for, or that we're not looking for, maybe. I think in terms of pedagogy, you do have to be as an instructor a little bit, let's say, resilient as well, or at least creative, working on that, like willingness to try out new things. Like we try to implement at least one kind of new approach every semester. This semester we've been working with ChatGPT, trying to see how can we implement it, but in a let's say ethical as well as a non-copy paste way. So yeah, every semester we try to do to work something new. See, can we find a new way to do reflection for students? Can we do things? So yeah, if you're really stuck, I've been teaching this course for 10 years, and I'm using the same materials, and I want to keep doing this way, then yeah, that might not be very suitable. But yeah, if universities are willing to experiment and try things out in a small, let's say on a small scale first, and then if it's successful, scale up, I think that would be a good way of approaching this kind of collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think David has a question, but I do
Right.
want to have one
Mhm.
more thing to add to what Jasper had said. I think sum it up really nicely. Sorry, I'm holding the mic. I think both the teams agree that it's about the students. It's not about what we teach, but rather what the student learned. And I think that approach has been the North Star for a lot of our questions. Like when it comes down to decision making, we think of what will help our student learn the best. So that's kind of another mentality that we really hope in the future partners will be able to agree and on board with. So I think, yeah. And David, you have a question?
I don't have a question because I want to share some experience because as a representative of Design Thinkers Academy Hong Kong, we collaborate with different education organizations in Hong Kong, hold about 100 of activity with different university students. I would like to share. First of all, I would like to share a little bit. Okay, first of all, this is really, I believe that this most coming in Hong Kong is hackathon. In fact, in the last year, we hold hackathon. We supported with Donny from HKUST. I believe that you know Donny from HKUST, and also
Sure.
from Hong Kong Polytechnic University. The students are really welcome to join some activity who can help the community. First of all, I believe that if your topic is attractive, many students will join. Other than that, in the last week, I would like to say in the last week, we also help a student from Hong Kong Polytechnic University as a we were as a guest judge for judge their design thinking projects. Therefore, I believe that in Hong Kong, if you think that we use design thinking to solve the problem, many people will support you. Other than that, in the last 4 years, there's an organization called Vocational Training Council. They have a design thinking course. I believe that the student who learn design thinking is about 6,000 in last 4 years. We work with them in different projects, and they also publish some articles and booklet about their student result. That means if you willing to work with the student to co-create a better community, many students will buy in. Last but not least, we also work with different university, professional organization, with their student, with their professional members, to co-create some innovative and human-centered ideas for Hong Kong. That's why I believe that co-create with university, co-create with student is no any barrier if your topic is meaningless and meaningful for the community. That's my sharing.
Thank you. Thanks for
If I may-
sharing, David.
Elmer,
Yes,
if I may share,
sure.
so maybe I'll share a little bit about the Singapore experience. I remembered me dropping out of my master's course simply because it was quite meaningless for me. So I took on the first semester and I felt that, hey, this wasn't going to the right place, and the pros and cons were not balancing out. And I felt that it was a little bit of a waste of time, given that we are all working professionals at that point of time. So, in Singapore, we have adopted this whole new way of thinking called stackable courses, where you create certain graduate certificates that leads up to a complete master's, where you can stack them all together. And I think that's really helping us to be able to kind of create, or at least give that independence of creating that meaningful education qualification back to the students themselves. Today, I'm also attending another course that is also of a stackable model that really focuses on it. So what I'm trying to get at is that the value of a course is no longer so much that of the faculty that's creating it. I think the value of the course is really back in the hands. We need to give back that independence and that power back to the learners, for them to be able to create something that is meaningful for themselves, whether it is starting a business, like Aki mentioned a while ago, set up an online shop or sorts, or some people may just simply do that because they want to enrich themselves in the spaces that they have never had. I think that gives a lot of that gives us a lot of space in faculty. In fact, by right, I would imagine faculty being able to say, okay, since this is our strong topic or strong subject, maybe we should try and focus a lot more of our researchers, a lot of our value propositions. We run a lot more activities and impact around these same areas that we are most expert in that sense.
Right. Related to the stackable courses, so in the Philippines, we're a big country, big population. How might we create a platform, co-create a platform so that dozens or hundreds of universities can start sharing? Because like this Zoom call, it's going to be 90 minutes and we're going to upload it on YouTube, and therefore it becomes reusable as a reference. How might we lay the foundations of a system so that across the region. So we're conveniently in the same time zone, right? Hong Kong, Philippines, Singapore, we're all in the same time zone, so no need to wake up early in the morning to meet some teammates. But how might we take this forward so that as we exit the pandemic Zoom systems, we retain or we begin laying down the foundations of a region-wide, transnational, holistic system so that students, maybe with or without their instructors supporting them, can begin to build up these stackable learning experiences. Any ideas? I mean, I think we already have the precursors. Daryl, you were working with a city in Manila, and this was online, right? You didn't have to travel during that period, and yet it worked out as a project. So we've figured out how to make this happen. So how might we scale that up so that more students in Indonesia, in the Philippines, in other countries in the region could connect to this, and this becomes part of their learning experience? Not 10 years from now, no, but maybe next sem.
In the city of Manila, I think it was possible because of a common cause that cut across the whole city itself. I would imagine if you're talking about cross universities across the world, then perhaps a common purpose or a common role could be something interesting. I once had conversations on developing a global education quality kind of course where we collaborated with several bodies and universities on this whole adult education and continuing education and training. I think it could be something of that possibility as well, looking at that common space and perhaps at this platform, creating a particular role that can be jointly co-created.
What do you mean by creating a particular role?
Well, I mean, collecting all of our expertise, what does that make up? And would this person be somewhat of a future-proofed person, or would this person be a mess? I don't know, unless we get down to that kind of conversations and what happens then.
Maybe we can ask Hannah. Hannah, how do you feel like you're collaborating with US students? Do you feel like there is a shared purpose or a shared mission as you do the project work with the US teammates? Hannah?
Yeah, I say definitely we do have shared purposes. Actually, when we first met with the students from Lehigh, we first discussed about what motivated us to join this specific project, which is all about educating women on urban farming systems and agro enterprises. And most of us and most, if not all of us, answered that we do have some backgrounds on the agricultural industry. So some of my teammates do have businesses related to the agricultural sector, and some of the students from Lehigh also have family businesses similar to us, to some of my teammates as well. So I think going back to the previous question, Mr. Elmer, it all boils down, personally for me, to political will, because in high school we also joined the competition wherein we would propose a project on the barangay level or on the town level, which could be possibly funded if it gets picked or chosen. But the biggest hurdle that we encountered was that the officials on that town or barangay was a bit doubtful in collaborating with us, because they think, oh, we're just high school students, what can we do, what can we possibly do, we're not really involved in anything. They could have thought that we could not have done anything meaningful. So it's important for us to be received as someone that could have contributed something to a larger project, because it especially in our team, it's important to internalize that the output for this for this course goes beyond the four walls of our classroom. It's not only for something that you would put on your CV or something that could potentially get you into the management trainee programs when you graduate and go to corporate or when you go to academia. So having that having that kind of bigger purpose, absorbing that you have a bigger purpose is very important.
Okay. Quick question, Hannah. So how might we do this on a larger scale? No, your experience, you're going through it because your instructor at UP Diliman is collaborating with the instructor at Lehigh University. No? But is it possible? Do you have any ideas on how this kind of collaboration can become student-driven without having to depend on instructors collaborating with each other? Do you think that that's possible? And what kind of how might we create a platform like that?
I think it's possible, but first it's important to include students or to kind of recruit students into the program that knows the value of what we're doing. As I mentioned earlier, it's not only for CV or for having those good grades to get into the special programs when you graduate. So having that sort of shared values and having that background as well into what specific sector you're helping, because especially for us, although we are a state university, we're the primary state university in the Philippines, and most of our students are heavily involved in what's happening in the country. So we have a lot of activists in the university. But although we do have a lot of activists in the university, we also have other students who only want to study to, get into whatever goals they want to pursue after graduating. So it's important really to meet students, to invite students, to expose our projects to the larger community so that we could encourage them to join us in the context of shared values and backgrounds. So it's really important.
Okay, thanks. So there are at least 12 university. Well, Daryl is flying over to Hong Kong in a few weeks, and
Next week.
Jasper next week, right? And
Next
Jasper is
week, yes.
flying over to Manila to work with 10 Philippine universities in a few more weeks. Now, so do you have any ideas on how we might do something that helps scale this up, or creates a platform so that this becomes scalable?
Do
And
you mind if I chime in a little
yeah,
bit?
yeah, sure, please.
I appreciate Hannah's input. I think you are the one that we're trying to serve. So thank you for those feedback. I think it's most important that you find your place, you feel like you're serving a purpose. This kind of platform helps, allowing us to share what we're doing so that we could collaborate and expand our network. To me, my experience is scaling up is not the hardest thing. Keeping the quality while scaling up is the hardest thing. We have interest coming in. We want to make sure our students is enjoying the same quality of learning experience, and that requires a lot more selective in choosing your partner, in choosing what type of program to collaborating with. I think that is something that we experience. So for example, Kanjan is someone that we are really keen on collaborating with, and hopefully that would happen in the next year or two. But we learn to be patient, because when we rush into it, when we rush into scaling to make sure the number will look good, right? However many university is joining, however many students are being benefit, but the quality suffers because we don't have enough attention paying to to those who enroll in this program. So those are the things that I learned the most. Even with the greatest partner, I think sometimes the timing is also important. So Daryl visiting next week, I'm really excited to hopefully meet you. By the time I should have my COVID cleared up. And when Jasper go to Manila, and he will spread our word and maybe build more partnership and bring more people on board. So I think those organic growth is something that seems to be yielding the most fruits. And so Elma, thanks again for inviting us and having us.
Thanks. From our local universities, do you have any questions or thoughts on how we might use co-listing as part of our internationalization efforts? Aleli, Ariel, Sina Bernard, do you have any thoughts on that? Daryl, you're flying all over the place. You'll also be in Manila, and you're starting up DTA in the Philippines. Do you have any thoughts, Daryl, on how co-listing might become one layer in this stackable next generation education system?
I think the very first foundation is like what Aki just mentioned a while ago. I think this platform itself is already a very beautiful place for us to kind of sit down and have conversations and to explore some of the potential problems that might be common across all our different geographical locations. On that note, recognizing also we have our global and local expertise, we can then see how we might be able to chip in to create little, whether like David mentioned, little hackathons, little problem identification sessions, or even having conversations on specific topics like these, and let us chime in all on that little thoughts that we have from our local context, just as we brought up a while ago. How might we be able to do these stackable bits of education and go for co-creation? So stackability is one possible option, but what else? Could it be something that students can now come to this platform and say, okay, I want some from HKUST. Can I get 2 from Lingnam? Can I get some from CTU? Let's put them all together, and that's my next degree program. Can I do that? I don't know. It depends on whether all the universities are willing to come together and say, okay, you can pick from these choices, and then you can call it a Masters of Arts or something of that sort. I don't know how that's going to work out in the academic system, but well, we're in the economy where I think students now get a lot more choices, no longer within just that location. We could be even taking degree programs from overseas without even leaving our homes, perhaps.
Right. Jasper, do you have any thoughts on how, how, especially because you're coming to the Philippines, how might we use your visit to catalyze, new arrangements? Do you have any thoughts on that? So
Yeah, I
that,
think
yeah.
one of the important parts, I think Aki and Daryl both mentioned is as well, to have the to be very aligned with the university beforehand, to both clearly state what you want to what are your plans, but also what purpose does it serve your institution, or whatever place you're doing this co-listing thing from. So what are the benefits for both universities, to make sure that that aligns for a specific platform. Since it's a lot of it, this is based on those kind of personal, talking to people, getting to know people. So there has to be somewhere a place where you can meet like-minded people to discuss like the possibilities, like something like I don't know, just a list with all of the universities with all of their courses, and the ones that you want to collaborate on, that would, I think, not work so efficiently if you don't have that personal connection and willingness. Okay, both of us are really ready to get behind this idea and work together.
Yeah, quick question. I had meant to ask it earlier. So there's a lot of upfront before the collaboration. There's trust building, and that trust building has to happen online, maybe at the start, right? So do you have any thoughts or experiences or lessons learned on how to cultivate trust across teams that have to do pretty complex collaboration in the project? How do you get the team to gel, especially online, especially uh, across universities or maybe across countries? Do you have uh, any insights to share in that process?
Yeah, for this question, on the end of the, let's say, the university students collaborating together, sometimes I would say this is some of the one challenge that we specifically have is that, let's say, not only in terms of content, both universities are quite different. I think that's a strength of the collaboration, that's students can work together, but also sometimes the let's say the, how do I put this nicely? Attitude of both groups of students is a little different. So students from USD, if they get A minus, they will complain to you, why did I not get an A? Students from Linan, if they get B plus, totally fine. So sometimes the let's say the approach to working together, or how much effort should you put into a course, is a little bit different. So that is a challenge sometimes. This semester is actually going very well. We have some very motivated students. So to be honest, I try to always, during those first few weeks, the add-up period, I try to scare away some of the students who might not be willing to do that, put in that extra effort. But so that's on the side of the student side. One challenge is having different groups of students from different universities. I can imagine if you are a university from a big metropolitan city, collaborating with university from a rural area, that might also lead to specific challenges. I don't have a one size fits all answer for that, because that really depends on what is the specific situation in both universities.
Okay, thanks. So it's 4:29. Maybe each of our panelists can give quick summary or just thoughts before we end. Maybe you can start with Aki. Any last thoughts?
I'm very
to
bad
share?
at summaries. Well, I think first of all, it's possible, because I think oftentimes when we think of it, we think of all the difficulties, but I just want to say it's definitely possible. I do want to echo, like I said, I'm really bad at summary. I do want to echo on the trust. Having this developed partnership is not, I think we also start a relationship, kind of a partnership, kind of at the same time, at the unconference time. That's when we really explore the potential for co-listing. As you can tell, we stay in touch with Elma after all these years. I think that trust is, sometimes it still needs some in-person connection to happen, but it doesn't fade in as much as we expected it to be. Like years after, you still have the impression of, oh, that person works really hard. That person knows what he or she is talking about. That person is willing to go that extra mile to work together. And I think Hannah probably would feel the same with your current teammates who are willing to do the extra work, willing to take up extra responsibility. Then you have that trust for that person. And in the future, if there's other project that you think of that person, you go and reach out to that person and say, hey, let's work together. And then that person will bring in other trustworthy people to come in. So I think that circle, that network it's what I truly am blessed to be involved in and be a part of. So it's possible, and welcome to this. We're always happy to meet you and see what we can work together. Thank you, Elma. Thank you, Hannah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jasper and Daryl and everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aki. Hannah next. Do you have any final thoughts to share with the group?
Yes. First of all, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, Sir Elmer. I'm actually cheesing. it's fun and very insightful to be around people, esteemed people in their fields. Especially Sir Dario's talk was really inspiring. I think it was a point of self-reflection for me as a student who is about to graduate and is involved in this kind of project. So really, really grateful, and hopefully from the discussions a while ago, we'll be able to build a solid foundation for our project.
Okay, thanks, Hannah. Jasper?
Yeah, just a short thought that something that I didn't really mention yet is when you do collaboration, it's totally fine to start in a smaller on a smaller scale. You don't have to say, okay, in next semester we fully co-list and do everything together. One good way of seeing if you and the other group of yeah, other university or other group of people that you work with, if it works, you can do a let's say one-off workshop together. You can do a smaller scale project and see if that works, learn from it and see if you can scale that up. So yeah, don't be afraid to have it perfect right away and have to have it very large scale right away. If you can make those steps and experiment. Yeah, I'm very happy that we're working together with Aki and other people from USD now after doing something similar, trying it out first on a smaller scale. Yeah.
Thanks, Jasper. Yeah, and then last, Daryl.
Thank you, Jasper. Thank you, Aki. Thank you, Elma. Well, to me, I believe when you want to start working together, let's always remember who are we creating this new value proposition for. So if there were any suggestion, I would say in the next session, bring on a student and let's claw the student out ourselves, yeah? And and perhaps we can get some insights on how and why this student might want to have specific things that do not exist as yet. And that could be how we might begin the next conversations.
Okay, yeah, so we'll do that. So for this session, we got your email addresses, so I'll be reaching out to you and asking if you want to participate in this ongoing conversation. And then, yes, we do want to iterate something moving forward. Jasper's coming over, and then Daryl, you'll be coming over to the Philippines to be kicking off the DTA Philippines chapter. So yeah, we might be able to get something going. So thank you very much to everyone who participated. Thanks, Daryl, Jasper, Aki, Hannah, and thanks for everyone else from the universities who participated. We'll be reaching out to you, and then we'd like to attempt to co-create something with you on this, co-listing with partner universities, either domestically or across the different countries represented here. Thanks, everyone, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, Elmer.
everyone.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thanks.